Okay, so hopefully this external microphone works so that I don't have to be shouting at midnight here. But basically, I said I would probably upload videos. I think sometimes it's hard to cover everything in class because we're so much like discussion based and it feels so much like a writer's room. But at the same time, y'all still gotta be learning something. I gotta be teaching something, right? So one of the things I want to talk to you about more, and we'll be getting more into it, is story structure and like the basic details of any story, really. So the most famous line about how to write a story that someone came up with is a story is about a character who wants something badly and who is having difficulty getting it. So, like, I know, like, most of the class is Lord of the Rings fan. The story is about trying to get the ring back to Mordor or wherever. But there's a lot of problems, there's a lot of obstacles. And so that's like a really good example. Finding Nemo, like I said, perfect story structure. The fish is Nemo's gone. Marlin, the daddy's trying to find him. There's a lot of problems. Nemo's in a tank trying to get out. Daddy's in the sea trying to find the tank. It's a mess. Monsters Inc. trying to get Boo back where she came from, or so help me. There's a lot of problems. I'm trying to think of a more modern. I know with Jungle Cruise, it's like trying to find the I was about to say Tesseract, but that's a Marvel problem, and difficulty on the Jungle Cruise getting it. Um, every movie, it's always about a character wanting something and having obstacles, and what did the character learn from it. So if you don't really know what your character wants and what your character needs, then you in trouble. You in deep water. Um, One thing that was very difficult for me to understand, but that made a lot of sense once I understood it, was when I got into screenwriting program. One of my friends actually told me this, that her professor said, because we had different professors. She said, okay, so a character has a want and a need, right? We hear that all the time. A character wants something, but they really need this. The movie is all about want and need. And again, the character's wanting something, but having difficulty getting it. So we know want is a huge part of the character process. But need, the character may need something that they don't want. For example, one of the scripts I'm working on now is about morality. The character needs to accept that she should be a moral person, right? And should give up this, say, this guy she's wanting to have sex with, or maybe having sex with, whatever. And the need is to become actually truly work Christian, really kind of make Christ the center, right? And so it's kind of like want, it's like lust, desire, physicality, need, metaphysicality. So want is love, need is like want is to be loved, need is to love the Lord. Things like that. Um as I break down story structure, we need to really focus on the want versus the need. And general rule of thumb is if a character doesn't get what they want, but at the end of the movie they get what they need, like say if my character doesn't get the guy she wants, but she decides that she gets what she needs, like okay, I'm gonna follow Jesus. This is the first time I'm really writing something quite spiritual anyway. But anyway, uh then it's a happy ending, and it can still be satisfying if the character does get their want and their need. You know, maybe the character, she gets the guy and he becomes a Christian and it's so much better. That's even extra satisfying. What's trickier is if the character gets their want but doesn't get their need. Okay, my character wants the guy. We know that she's got this flaw where she always wants guys, and she really needs to not be wanting these guys and maybe be her own person, follow the Lord. And yeah, she gets her want, but we're like, well, she didn't grow. She didn't grow as a person. And so those are harder to make work, okay? But gosh, I spaced out. I don't know if these videos are actually very helpful because I'm like spacing out all the time. The only way to make a character get their want and it be satisfying is if we see how the character suffers for it. And we see that the characters had many, many chances to change and they don't. And so if they still remain the same and they get what they want, it's satisfying if we know that it's basically judging them like, okay, they're getting what they want, but it's a bad decision and don't be like this person, okay? So that's what I'm going to end it here on want and need, and I'm going to try to find a less boring way to talk about the other things.